Master. Hope you're all doing good. Today we'll be seeing how we can query a document. For example, consider a PDF document. We want to query something out of it. For example, consider an invoice. You want to get any details of the invoice or any warranty documents where you want to get some information out of the warranty and you don't know like which page the content might be. You don't want to scroll through everything. So you just want to directly get the response for your query. We'll be using AWS Bedrock service. It's basically an AML service. We'll be using combination of other services, AWS Lambda, API Gateway, etc. We'll be using these services in combination, exposing an endpoint REST endpoint, which can be consumed by an Angular UI, React UI, or any other third-party application can consume this service, and they'll be able to get the response. So let's get into the demo. Let's open AWS Bedrock. Inside Bedrock, you will be able to see all the models which you have access. Basically, we can use Claude 3 HiQ, Claude 3 Sonnet. All these are ideal models which suits the use case, but Sonnet is 12x costlier as the performance is a lot higher compared to Haiku. So since it's a smaller use case, we Haiku should be good for us. So let's select Haiku. We'll see an option to open Playground. Check, and as you can see, you can upload your file. Let's go to desktop. We'll drag and drop the file. We can even select the file and upload. For example, I uploaded the invoice and you need to give the prompt, which is your input. What is the net total? And you will see net. You will see that the net total in the invoice is $643. If you can open that, you'll be able to see. Ideally, the net total inside the invoice should be 643. Yeah, that's how we are saying. And this is how Bedrock console response using the generative AI models behind the scenes. So now the same thing, let's do it practically, programmatically using AWS Lambda Bedrock services, and we'll expose it using API Gateway. Now to do it programmatically, we will need to create a Lambda function from AWS Lambda. We will create a new function. As we see in the architecture diagram, we need a Lambda. Basically, this Lambda will be invoking the Bedrock. So we'll be creating AWS Lambda. We'll test invoice. We can give some name. Test invoice. We'll be using Python programming. Python. We should attach the necessary permissions to it. Since I already created a role with all the policies in IAM, I will be able to add it directly from here. We'll be able to create the function. Now the function is created. There's a Lambda function. In the interest of time, I have the code already in my notepad. If you see the code, there are few main important points here. One is input data, that will be the PDF, which will be accepting in base64 format. Then the prompt, we need the net total from the PDF, right? We can make it dynamic. In the interest of making the use case simple, we took a static prompt, or else you can get the prompt dynamically from the event. And similar to the way we got the data, PDF base64 data, we can even get the prompt from the event, and we'll be able to pass to the prompt. For now, we have taken a static prompt where we're mentioning that we want the net total from the input document. and these are all the standard templates. These things basically we will get from the AWS documentation. If you see the documentation, if you go through the documentation, you will notice that it's a lengthy documentation. You need to search for the details which you are looking for. I already kept those things open. So this is a message object which we are creating in the Lambda function, which has fields like role, content, document. This is the byte array of the input document, messages. We'll use the Bedrock Converse API. This is a newer API which Bedrock recently developed. The advantage of using Converse is the same code can be used for multiple models. We just need to pass the model ID, which is our Haiku model, Claude 3 Haiku model. In the past, we did not have Converse API in Bedrock, so the template was different. We need to create different sort of objects for hitting different models. But with the introduction of Converse API, the format got more easier. The template is fixed, and now we just need to pass the model ID, and rest everything remains same. So these things are available in AWS documentation. I took it from here, and we constructed the same object. This is our name of invoice, format is PDF. This bytes one is our input, byte 64 PDF documentation. Prompt is a code in my GitHub. I'll share the link as well. You guys can refer from there. So we have our, let me take this and we created the Lambda function. We will deploy it. Since Lambda is serverless, you don't need a server to deploy. You can deploy it on the fly. And to test it, we will create a test input as well. Create a test event. This is how you test it. You can create a test event, test invoice. If you see the code, our input is data, so we need to have data as a key, and the value will be the PDF base 64. You can use any base 64 converters which are available online, and I already the invoice which you are seeing here, I converted it into base 64 online, and I think, yeah, I have it here. So this is a base 64 format of the invoice. So we will paste this here. Now we have our input. We'll save it, and we can invoke once it is saved. Sometimes it does take a little bit of time to get saved. I don't know why AWS behaves like that. I don't think it got saved now. In case if it doesn't save, we need to redo this process of AWS test event creation. We are seeing some error calling. I'm not sure if it got deployed. One other thing which we need to take care is the default configuration in AWS will be very minimal. So we need to increase. It's just 3 seconds. So 3 seconds will not be enough for us to get the response from the ML model. So we'll 1 minute is a large time, but we will not ideally need. For safer side, we can have it as a minute, and we'll save it again. Fail to fetch. I guess sometimes the sessions get expired if you keep it open for a long time. So let me see if the session got expired. Test invoice. Why is it not fetching code? Probably let me try to refresh this page. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I think the session got expired. We will create a new session and we'll do the same thing again. I created a new session as our last session got expired. I just refreshed this page and I'm not sure if we have a test event in place. Did it get no? We can't see a test event, so I think we should be creating a test event again as we did last time. Oh, I can see the name already. Test invoice and the key will be data. We already have the value. Okay, let me copy the entire thing. So I hope we'll be able to save this time. Yeah, you see the save button. The test event was successfully saved. Was successfully saved, but still the invoke button is not enabled. Let me try to hit this time the test event. Let's see the result. The sandbox timeout. I think our configurations are not yet saved last time since the session got expired. Yeah, it's just the 3 seconds. We can quickly make it a minute again. We'll see the changes. Seeing the save button. Yeah, we'll be able to, we just saved the newer configuration. The function got updated. We'll go back to the code. I hope the test events are saved this time. And let's close this test window. We'll test this time. Test. Yeah, it is asking to select the test event. Let's hope we get the result this time. Yeah, this time we got the result. See, 643. This is the result. If you see the invoice, the total amount of 643, we got it the same. We can, the advantage of using Lambda is, you don't need time for deployment. Even if you change the prompt, if you want to test something else, for example, let's go back to the code. Let me minimize. Here, the task is to identify and extract only the net total. Right? We can just give any other thing like what is a job type. I think you guys can give a try. You just need to change the prompt. What do you want to get? And just need to do a deploy and just. So these are the advantages of using Lambda. And now that we have tested it, we have tested the functionality using Lambda. But for some third-party application to consume this service, we need to expose it as a REST endpoint, right? For that, we will create an API gateway, and the API gateway will in turn be linked to AWS Lambda, and that will expose an endpoint, REST endpoint, which any third-party applications will be able to consume. Will quickly create the REST endpoint. Let me go to the API gateway. Okay, create API. It's a REST API. Build new API. We'll give the same name, test invoice, and I think it can be regional. Create API. API is created. We will create a method. We'll give the same. It's a post method since it accepts the input. So we link to the existing Lambda. Our Lambda name is test invoice. Yeah, test invoice. And the timeout is good by default. I guess we are good. We created a API gateway. We are linked it to our Lambda function. We are going to create this method. Yeah, so this looks good. Now we'll deploy this API gateway. New stage, test invoice, deployment, test invoice, deployment. We'll deploy it. We don't need a stage. Basically, need if we are handling multiple environments. So we'll have an endpoint here. This endpoint, which I'm highlighting, we will take the endpoint, go to Postman. We will remove the existing endpoint and body. You will take the same body. Control C, and you're already seeing the response because I have tested it sometime before this demo. But that's a different uh, endpoint and different set of things. Is that the endpoint correct? Let me reconfirm the endpoint. Oh yeah, it looks same. Invoke URL. Probably let's test it. We'll run it. Yeah. So now we have an endpoint where it accepts the PDF as a base 64 or the document, any document in the base 64 format, and basically a PDF document. That's what we configured in our Lambda, and we're getting the response. So we created Lambda, we tested at Lambda level. Now we created an API gateway. We tested using consuming our API gateway endpoint. Now any third-party applications can consume this endpoint. They just send their PDF documents and write their query. In case if you want to make the query as well dynamic, you create a new uh, field here where you say input, for example, input, and you send the input as well whatever the user wants. What is model ID, whatever any input which a user enters through UI can be passed here, and the changes which we need to make at Lambda level is just adding a newer, and the event will capture that, and you will just put it into a new variable and you pass it dynamically to the prompt. So it's the same thing, just an additional input parameter will be there. And as an extension to that, we can now we have taken a single document. It can be extended to 5 documents. Just that you know the template gets repeated. If somebody wants to see a demo of that, they can definitely reach out to me or put in the comments where we can have an extension to that with multiple documents, and the same prompt, or we can play with the prompts at that stage. You can give different prompts to different documents so that you get multiple responses. I mean, the response will be single, but the GenAI model answers, saying the first document has an invoice, the second document has an invoice so and so, the third document has a job type so and so. It will be able to parse the multiple documents together. So we are done with all these things. Probably sometime in future we will make it a full end-to-end use case where we'll see if we can build an Angular application, have a UI, and through UI we upload the file, convert it into base64 inside the UI, and the UI part of it, if we'll be able to build, the UI will in turn consume this endpoint. It will be a complete web application. Thank you guys. Please let me know your suggestions, feedback. In case you have any queries, you can reach out to me. Or in case if you need any additional support or any additional content, you can just inform the same in the comments or reach out to me. Thank you. Thank you for watching.